Ayaan Hirsi Ali er blevet et symbol på kampen for en reform af islam og kampen mod undertrykkelse af kvinder og børn i islams navn. En kamp for frihed, der paradoksalt nok har kostet hendes egen personlige frihed. Nu har hun skrevet sin selvbiografi. Det er en 414 sider lang beretning om blandt andet hendes opgør med islam og de trusler, hun til stadighed bliver udsat for.
Da den hollandske filminstruktør Theo van Gogh blev myrdet på åben gade i Amsterdam for 2 år siden, var et brev spidet fast på hans bryst med en kniv. Et trusselsbrev til Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Sammen havde de to lavet kortfilmen Submission, et opgør med, men også en voldsom provokation af islam og dens påståede undertrykkelse af piger og kvinder. Siden har Hirsi Ali måttet leve med livvagter døgnet rundt. Kampen for frihed har kostet hendes egen personlige frihed. Men det forhindrer hende ikke i at fortsætte kampen og optræde offentligt, som da hun for nylig præsenterede sin nye selvbiografi, Ayaan, opbrud og oprør, på bogmessen i Göteborg. Sidste år fik hun Venstres frihedspris personligt overrakt af statsminister Anders Fogh Rasmussen. Hirsi Ali er født i Somalia. Familien måtte flygte flere gange på grund af farens politiske engagement. Selv flygtede hun fra et arrangeret ægteskab og havnede i Holland. Her blev hun medlem af parlamentet, men efter mordet på Van Gogh blev det efter myndighedernes opfattelse for farligt for hende at bo i landet. Dertil kom en voldsom debat i Holland om de omstændigheder, der i sin tid bragte hende til landet. Hun flyttede derfor til USA, hvor hun i dag er medlem af en tænketank.
I sin bog, som udkommer på dansk på torsdag, beskriver Ayaan Hirsi Ali sig selv som en fri stemme. Selv er hun som sagt omgivet af sikkerhedsfolk, så hvad mener hun, når hun betegner sin stemme som fri?
Free from the shackles of dogmatic religion. Living as a Muslim, and as I tell my story, I was limited in what I could think by the idea that I would burn in hell. And since I lost the fear of hell, I can let my imagination go and be free. And when you let your imagination go, it also means it turns into a voice, into ideas. And I'm refusing my voice to be silenced now by the threat of Islamists, after having liberated myself from the threat of hell.
So one could ask, how free are your voice when it comes to the bottom line?
I am. I'm very free. My voice is free because I can write, and you can read my thoughts in that book, and you can agree or disagree with it, but I can express it, and that's quite a luxury for someone with my background.
One could say that you're always surrounded by police and security guards. Tell me, what's the freedom of that?
The police and the security agents protect my body so that my voice I can express my voice, I can be heard. And unfortunately that is necessary, and I know in a way it's a price, but it's protection. Security is a luxury which the other dissidents of Islam in the Middle East do not have.
You say in a way it's a price.
Yes, in a way it is a price.
What do you mean by that?
In the sense that I cannot move without consulting somebody else, without asking someone or without telling someone else where I am going and what I'm doing, and without having people around me all the time, which is not by choice. But it's a small price to pay if you're brought up and if you're a Muslim and you want to say the things that I want to say. And I say it's a small price because it means I'm not paying with my life.
So it's worth the price, that's what you're saying?
Yes, it's worth the price.
In the book, you describe yourself as a voice from the inside. When regarding freedom, what do you want us to learn while reading the book?
That it is not black and white to start with, and that my thoughts on Islam and the clash with Islam, with the values of the Enlightenment and with the rule of law is not really black and white. That I myself was a fundamentalist. That it's a long process, this transition from pre-modernity to modernity. I tell the story of my grandmother, I tell the story of my mother, and then I tell my story. And in that you can see that these are really huge leaps into the future. That's for me how it feels like, kind of taxiing into the future when I came to Holland.
Reading the book, you can read a lot about how Muslims treat, for example, their daughters, and one can read how you have been treating yourself. Tell me, What do you want me to learn by reading this?
Two things. That there is a difference between Islam and Muslims. Islam as a set of ideas contained in the Quran and in the Hadith and what the Prophet said. This is, let me say, it's a philosophy on life. It's a way of life. Muslims are individuals like you and like everyone else. They can believe in it. They can be moderate in that. They can be radical in it. They can also leave it. And what I try to do in the book is show that by appealing again and again to reason, to common sense, that as an individual you can shape your own destiny and see how much of the dogma you take or leave.
And you can be a Muslim as well.
You can be a Muslim. I give examples, the example of my father, who is a very good Muslim, but who in his life has interpreted, or he seems to have twisted everything so that it suits his conscience. And that as his daughter, I find him to be inconsistent. So I choose a different path, but that doesn't mean I love him any less.
But if I, as a Christian, ask you, is it so that you want me to accept Muslims as individuals, but not the way Islam is working around the world?
Yes, to criticize Islam and to reject those aspects of Islam that infringe upon the freedoms of individuals, but to accept Muslims as individual human beings, and in your interaction with Muslims to again and again appeal to their common sense and to their reason, and not treat them as children, as we are doing now, by saying, if we criticize the Prophet, they will be offended, so let's not criticize the Prophet. That is how we treat children. And I'm saying, as one who was brought up with Islam, stop treating us like children.
You have dedicated the book, and I quote you, to the millions and millions of oppressed Muslim women around the world. Tell me, if they had the chance to read the book, then what do you want them to do then?
I don't know what they should do. I never tell people what they should do.
What would you like them to do?
Yes, what I expect them to do is many of them will be very angry. And I think many of them will identify with the book and what, how I talk and the stories that I tell. And it's possible that some of them will identify with what I talk about, but they will reach a different conclusion. But I would invite them, especially for those who are able to tell their own stories, because by exchanging experiences, we can change our situation.
But do you think they have a real chance to get rid of that oppression?
Some of them can. Some of them are lucky enough to have fathers and brothers and family situations where they have the opportunity to go to school, where they are allowed to work. And those ones, those free girls who are within Islam, I would appeal to them to look after and to feel the obligation to try and persuade the others who don't have that opportunity to change their lives.
But then they probably have a price to pay, just as you did yourself.
Yes, we all have a price to pay for freedom. It will not come cheap, and it will not come by itself. We will have to pay that price. And by paying that price now, we will only make it easier for the next generation. And so I think it is wrong to think in terms of only ourselves now. Like in Europe, we save a lot of money for our pensions so that the next generation can concentrate on the good life. I think for us, Muslims of today, who have had as much privilege as I have, it's not about us, it's about the next generation in the end.
Og som Ayaan Hirsi Ali føjer til her i sin bog, det vil være forkert af os her i Vesten at forlænge overgangen til en moderne verden unødigt ved at opløfte kulturer, der er fulde af hykleri og had til kvinder og børn, til samme højde som respektable alternative måder at leve på.